You are with us on the Retirement Revolution. Brad Johansson with Rob Guy, tax and investment advisors. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Brad. How are you today?
Good, good, good. We're going to talk about that thing because we've talked about it a lot, but Rob talks about it in his book, Retire Free, one that you can get for free should you decide to come in for an appointment. And you may want to after this show. We're talking about the tax time bomb, which
Yes.
Rob talks about in his book. Explain what a tax time bomb is, because we hear a lot of advisors out there aren't talking about taxes. Why is this so important to you?
Right. Well, taxes, Brad, might be one of the largest expenses you actually have in retirement. And when we run a lifetime tax analysis for people, and we do have a Boston tax calculator to do that, we often can see that they're going to be paying hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of dollars in taxes. And many times they were unaware that was going to happen. So you might want to know sooner than later if that time bomb is going to blow up on you.
Well, why is it that people aren't talking about this?
Well, I think it snuck up on on people a little bit. You know, back in the 70s, they decided pensions were too expensive for corporations,
Yep.
and they got rid of pensions, and they said, let's start 401ks. Well, what did that really mean is they took all the risk and responsibility of investing and saving and took it off their back and put it on your back.
Yes, they did.
So then everybody was told, all right, start putting money every month into your 401k and start building up. You're deferring tax.
We'll pay tax on that later.
Pay tax later. You know, you'll be in a lower tax bracket when you're in retirement. So you'll take the money out at a lower tax rate then. Well, two problems with that. First of all, nobody knows what the tax rates are going to be in the future. And with 36 trillion in debt and a couple trillion being added to that every year, and interest on the debt already taking up massive portion of the budget, almost as much as defense, we can see where we're going to have some big problems later on fiscally. And my guess is they're going to have to raise taxes to do that.
You talk about strategies, and we have this up on the screen. As Rob mentioned, the BostonTaxTest.com is a tax calculator that Rob's put together for you. Usually it's not for free. This is for free to give you an idea, because it will give you impetus to say, I need to do something about it. It gives you an idea of what your tax burden may be with the IRS. Not only now, not only reinvesting your RMDs, not only moving that down to the next generation, it continues to compound. Rob has an idea for strategies. This will give you an idea of what both of those are. Tell me what the strategies are, because people are going to go to this, whether calling or scanning the QR code. It only takes a couple of minutes to go through the calculator.
Right.
The strategies are dramatic. If it says, well, wouldn't you like to pay $100,000 instead of $700,000 or whatever that may be? What are the strategies right now that people should be looking at?
Right. The primary strategy to help reduce the tax bill in retirement is to try to remove as much money as you can from your tax-deferred plan before you hit required minimum distribution age. So if you were born between 51 and 59, you have to start taking money out of your IRA or 401k at 73.
This is one of those examples of the government continuing to move the goal line, because it was 70 and a half, then to 73. And for those who are right now, then there's some coming later, it's going to be 75. Who knows when the rules are going to change? So right now, it's 73 that you've got to do RMDs.
That's right. And when they said that money was deferred, not tax-free, right? So every paycheck you've been putting aside for 20 or 30 years, plus all the growth on that, has never been had taxes on it. And the government wants that money. So you hit required minimum distribution age, and that's what happens. They start saying, there's a formula, and they're going to take last year's balance. Let's say in 12/31/24, the balance was $1 million. They're going to divide that by something called a uniform lifetime table. Fancy way of just saying a little under 4% needs to come out of your IRA in the first year.
Okay.
So you're 62, you have $1 million in your IRA, you figure you'll just defer it till you're 72 or 73. Well, what if it grows to $2 million? Now your required minimum distribution on that account in year one is just about $80,000. Now, what if you had a combined Social Security between you and your wife of $60,000, and you had other savings to live on, And now you are going to have to start taking an additional $80,000 of taxable income when you didn't even need it. Your Social Security was enough, a little bit of savings was enough, and your tax bill was relatively low. Now you hit that time bomb when it blows up and the required distributions start, and you were living maybe a pretty low tax life those first years of retirement.
Yeah.
Don't waste those years. Start doing some strategic movements from forever tax to never tax. Another thing about that, Brad, real important, is once that money goes into that Roth IRA, and there's no limit on how much you can put in on any 1 year. There's no income limit, anything. Anybody can do it for any amount they want. You just have to pay the tax on the move.
Okay.
But once that money is in there, not only does it grow tax-free for your entire life, it grows tax-free for an additional 10 years for your beneficiaries. So there's a lot of analysis we do for people that shows them having lots of money left over at the end. You know that IRA is going to be one of the most heavily taxed things for those kids. And since the Secure Act, they have to take all the money out within 10 years. You leave a $2 million IRA to Mary, and Mary's going to have to take $200,000 a year out of that IRA on top of her joint income, probably with her husband, throwing them into ridiculous tax brackets. The amount of money of that Roth that will be kept by you and of that regular IRA that will be kept by you and your family is a pretty small number compared to what it could be with some proactive planning.
Well, the interesting thing is you say, you know what, there are many advisors who are saying you don't need to worry about RMDs. You're 5, 8, 10 years away from that. Don't worry about it. We'll do it then. This is the proactive that you're talking about, that if we start planning for this, especially with legislation changing rules all this time, if you wait to 73 and you don't have a plan at 73, the idea of moving that money over into a tax-free bucket at this time kind of lengthens your runway for what you can do in retirement.
Sure does, yeah. Yeah, you've limited yourself. So, let's say you have 5 or 6 or 7 years before that window when you start taking that money out.
Yeah.
Take advantage of those years. Don't waste them. We could do something called strategic Roth conversions, where we're converting enough out of your IRA combined with all your other income to bring you just below a tax bracket that you might not want to go above. So say it's the 22% tax
You've always talked about having a little wiggle room.
That's
that
right.
people aren't understanding that there's more room where you can do a strategy that will save you later. Explain that a little bit.
Well, yeah, every year that you go by that you haven't taken income that goes to the top of your tax bracket, you've wasted that year. Okay, so every year that goes by, you haven't done a Roth conversion up to what you could, that's going to cost you money. I mean, every single year that passes, that's going to cost you money. This has a compound effect over time. If you can get those strategic Roths going over a period of time so that by the time you hit your required minimum distribution age, those distributions are quite manageable. If you want to be aggressive, those distributions could be zero. So some people have a lot of money in savings. They get their Social Security account. They're paying no taxes on their IRA distributions, very little tax in retirement. Their next door neighbor might have the exact same plan, exact same investments, exact same everything, but they're paying $30,000, $40,000 a year more in taxes.
Yeah, the idea is having a roadmap, putting it into a plan where you actually understand. So the BostonTaxTest.com is this tax calculator, because I don't know what I'm going to owe. Well, this helps you get an idea of what you're going to owe and the strategies that may save you, as Rob says, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why give the IRS more than you already have to? Then you'll see this and say, I'd like a roadmap, a retirement freedom roadmap. And that's when you make the phone call, 855-255-1126 to come in. Rob puts this together for free. His team puts it together and gives you a roadmap that encompasses all the things that you need to make your retirement last. We're going to talk more about taxes and how they could hurt you and the strategies that you can put together that are in his book. Like a copy of that, Retire Free. It's all part of the plan with a retirement freedom roadmap. We'll be right back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Retirement Revolution. Brad Johansson with Rob Guy. I want to make sure that I have the phone number correct for you so that you can call and get your retirement freedom roadmap. It's 855-255-1128. You can also scan the QR code on your screen in doing that. We're talking about the taxes, the tax time bomb that you talk about in the book. But in the book, you talk about the Retirement Freedom Bill of Rights. Can you take me through that?
Yes, thanks for asking, Brad. You know, the Retirement Freedom Bill of Rights is something that I hold very near and dear to my heart. In fact, a speech that was given by Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1941 was the inspiration for writing this book. He gave a speech called The Four Fears, right? And he said, everybody should be free from, have certain freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. And that, I thought that was really inspiring, right? He's like, everybody as a human being should have these rights. Yeah. And I think everybody as a hardworking retiree should also have rights.
I like this.
And the first right I think they should have is freedom from the fear of running out of money.
Which is everyone's greatest fear right now, at least what every survey says.
Sure is.
I'd rather die than be alive and run out of money.
The greatest fear, again and again, on every survey ever done. And, you know, there's no more critical decisions, Brad, that you're going to make than how you're going to generate a lifetime of inflation-adjusted income for you and your family. That's a very important thing to do. And so we want to have freedom from the fear of running out of money. The way we do that is we have a plan that maps out each and every year of your retirement. And we know that you're going to be okay because we can run the numbers.
All right. Your Bill of Rights goes to 2.
It does. So we have also freedom from Wall Street speculation and excessive fees with our retirement dollars. Okay? So Wall Street makes billions and billions of dollars every year on fees and trading and all the active management that they're doing. And they're speculating with your money. You know, they make money whether you win or lose because they're making money on the transactions. But Wall Street has taken a very strong position, really, that most people should have almost all their money in stocks. And sure, that's a great tool for the long haul, but really having all your money eaten up in fees and having them take all that risk with your money might not be the exact right way to go. So freedom from Wall Street speculation and fees with your money. That's number 2.
How do you get away from the fees with your money? Because if this is attached and I just assume that I have to pay fees in this, you do it differently.
Well, that's true. So there are different types of fees. So we are a fee-only advisor. So what that means is we sit on the same side of the table as a fiduciary with the clients, and we charge them an advisory fee to do that. The investment vehicles that we use to implement their plans have very low to no fees. Whereas the investment vehicles that are put out by most of Wall Street are loaded with fees. So if you just add up an additional 0.5 or 1% of a fee and you carry that out over the next 10 or 20 or 30 years, it takes hundreds of thousands out of your pocket.
Your next Bill of Rights is the freedom from excessive taxation on your retirement accounts.
That's right.
Explain.
Yeah. So trillions of dollars right now are sitting in these tax-deferred retirement accounts between IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, and that money has never been taxed. It's never been touched. And that is a red, ripe target for the government who's looking for money to be able to pay the bills. So 36 trillion in debt is a lot of money, right? I mean, have you ever heard the difference between a million, a billion, and a trillion?
Share with me.
A million, in terms of time, okay, a million is 11 seconds. A billion is about 32 years, and a trillion is about 32,000 years. So the difference between a million and a trillion is the difference between 11 days and 32,000 years. We throw around words like million, billion, and trillion like they're the same thing. We have 36 trillion in debt, going up by 2 trillion a year. Taking out much of the budget, interest is going to really be a problem. We have 80 million baby boomers we've promised Social Security, Medicare to, and a whole crew right behind them. The government's going to need money. Your IRA is going to be where they're going to get it.
All right, this is I want to put up the BostonTaxTest.com. It is there for you. Scan the QR code, get the idea of what your your debt, your time bomb may be, and then get the idea of the strategies. I'll leave that up for now as we move into number 4. To remain in your home, you say, the freedom to avoid Medicaid bankruptcy. Explain that one.
That's right. So most people are aware that Medicare does not cover long-term care needs. Medicare will cover the first 100 days of a skilled care facility, but after that, you're pretty much on your own. So one of the things that I hear from people a lot is, oh, I'm not going to get long-term care insurance because I'm never going to go to a nursing home. Well, first of all, nobody made an appointment to be in a nursing home, right? It just happens.
It happens.
Right? Sometimes. But also, when you think about the burden that you could potentially be putting on family members and other people, and you think about people say, oh, I'll just pay out of pocket. Well, that might work, but you also might have to reduce your savings for your surviving spouse and leave them in a tough position. And the policies and the strategies that we put in today, they're meant to keep you at home. If you want to stay home as long as you possibly can, that's what a good long-term care policy will do. It'll allow you to pay the bills, have the home health care people come in, do the ramps, do all the things that you might need to stay at home. People end up in nursing homes because they can't afford to have somebody come home and take care of them. If you actually have a long-term care policy, whether it's a traditional policy or a hybrid long-term care policy, which allows you, even if you pay premiums your whole life and you never use it, you'll get the money back, or your family gets the money back. Just having a plan in place. But so we want to avoid Medicaid bankruptcy in the last couple of years of our life, but also we want to be taking care of where we want to be, at home.
And your final one is creating a legacy and to be remembered and have money go the right way that you want it to go as your final freedom.
That's right. You've worked your entire life to build this estate. You don't want it all blundered at the end to fees, taxes, administrative costs, and you want to make sure that you're minimizing your taxes and making it as smooth as possible for your beneficiaries. But here's another thing. The economy is tough. Debt is tough.
Idea of what the tax bomb is for you out there, and then maybe as you scan this QR code, go to the website, it finally wakes you up to say, you know what, it's time for a revolution. I need to put together a retirement freedom roadmap that is complimentary for you. If you dial the number 855-255-1128, it gives you that option to come in for a complimentary retirement freedom roadmap to put together all of these Bill of Rights to, as Rob says, put a fortress around your family, around your finances, for a retirement that will last. If one of your biggest fears is that you're going to run out of money before it all ends, This will give you the plan that puts it together. 855-255-1128, so that you can have a roadmap for a retirement of your dreams. We'll wrap this up when we return.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
So glad you're with us on the Retirement Revolution. Brad Johansson with Rob Guy, tax and investment advisors. We started this with taxes, and we talk about it all the time, the tax time bomb that may be out there. We have put up the tax calculator for you. We've gone through some of the Bill of Rights. You are owed a retirement plan that actually works, that covers all of this. Take me through that plan, because as you say, everybody needs this. And yet everybody's plan is different. Give me 5 prongs that you put together to make sure that this plan works.
Brad, I'd love to explain kind of the 5-part process of the Retirement Freedom Roadmap. It really begins with the income strategy, right? So when you're thinking about retiring, the number one thing most people are thinking about is, how am I going to replace that paycheck?
Yeah.
So you've been working all these years, bringing in a paycheck. It's pretty scary when that paycheck stops. And what I find that when people have it kind of mapped out in writing year by year, and we factor in taxes, inflation, travel, healthcare costs, all these other things that might come into play, we map it out and we show them that they're going to be okay. Even if we do lifeboat drills, the market doesn't work out, taxes go higher. Under all these different scenarios, we've built a plan they're going to be okay. That allows them to sleep a little bit better at night.
Yeah.
And then we want to make sure that they have a retirement investment strategy. And I really believe that means changing your philosophy at a certain point in life from growth to preservation and distribution.
Yeah.
What's growth? That's just the working years when you're adding and adding and adding to your 401k. But once that stops, now what do you want to do? Now you want to protect it. Now, I know a lot of people hate sports analogies, but I like to give one every once in a while. If you've won the game, take a knee.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, don't risk fumbling the ball now. You've already won. You have enough money, you and your family could live the rest of your life. We just did the plan that showed that. Now you will have investment strategy that if I show you at 5% rate of return, all your dreams could come true and you could live a very easy, comfortable life. Now it's your choice if you want to take risk. You had to at one time because you were 30 years old, you needed to accumulate a lot of money and you had a lot of time. That was the right tool for the job. That was the hammer.
Yeah.
Now you need a screwdriver, okay? All these advisors and brokers are out there with nothing but hammers. When all they have is a hammer in their bag, that's all they're going to tell you to use. So you want to have an investment philosophy that switches from growth to preserving it, and then finding what rate of return you actually need to have your dreams come true and take the minimum amount of risk you absolutely have to accomplish that goal.
Income, investment, and then you talk taxes all the time.
Taxes all the time. Again, biggest bill many people will face in retirement. So we want to take a look at how much money you have in tax-deferred accounts, what your likely lifetime tax bill is going to be from that, and put in plans to help mitigate that risk, whether it's Roth conversions, charitable contributions, advanced planning like child remainder trust, things like that. It doesn't have to get too fancy, but just so you know, there are things we can really do. Then you want that healthcare plan. That healthcare plan is, let's say you're retiring before you're eligible for Medicare.
Okay.
Well, we can help you figure out, how to fill that gap. We can help you figure out which Medicare options might make the best sense for you. And then we help you figure out whether or not long-term care would be appropriate in your situation. That's the healthcare part. And then we have the estate and legacy, where do you have wills in place? Do you have trusts in place? Are all your beneficiary designations appropriate? Do you have an idea of if you want money left to people in trust, or you just want to leave it outright to them? So there's a lot of different ideas that you need to kind of cover when you're thinking about estate and legacy. And is there a chance for you to really optimize what you have? So I mentioned before, many of the people that we run into, some of, they're trying to figure out if they can retire, and maybe they have enough and maybe they don't.
Sure.
And we can help them figure that out. There's other people, they have way more than they were ever dreamed they were going to have, and they're probably not going to need all of it. And it looks like it's going to grow to a tremendous amount at the end of their life. Why not start gifting now to your kids so you can see them enjoy that? Why not start gifting to maybe some charities or other things that you care about to start bringing down a little bit your 401k and estate balance? These are the types of things that you could do to minimize your ultimate expenses later, but also as part of your estate planning, you can see them enjoying the money.
Give people an idea what you're offering with this plan.
Yeah. So one of the things that we want to do is take a look at your situation and make sure that you're going to be okay no matter what happens. What happens with inflation, interest rates, taxes, the markets, and so forth. And the way for us to do that is to give you our complimentary Retirement Freedom Roadmap. And the Retirement Freedom Roadmap is yours to take a look at your unique situation, find out what strategies you might be able to implement to save taxes, increase income, and just have a more peaceful retirement.
Isn't that what we all want? To be able to take our retirement. You only get to do this once, and you've been doing what you've been doing for decades, and now you'd like to figure this out. And this is where Rob comes in with his team. 35 years of experience. Don't you want an expert to help take you through? The Retirement Freedom Roadmap is free. The book, Retire Free, is yours as you come in. Let's put together a plan for you that makes it last. 855-255-1128. Scan the QR code to claim your complimentary Retirement Freedom Roadmap. We are grateful for your time. Let's see you in the office. Right back here next time. Thanks for joining us.